It's Wednesday, it's 4 p.m-ish, and it's your time to tap along with me in our lovely group EFD for Hope. And we have new members this week, so welcome Jonathan and welcome Petra. I can't remember who else came, but I think it's 2 or 3 people, and it's lovely to have you here. Today we're carrying the work. Now, if you think about what we've been doing, and I know I do that every week, but it's important, there's actually a logic to this. So we started off with settle down, and then we did that'll do, and then last week I talked about thresholds and how to cross thresholds. And today we're looking at the road ahead, even though we have absolutely no idea where the road is leading or what the road looks like particularly. And we are going to talk about parts. And I thought I would give you a brief explanation about what do I mean when I'm saying parts. And I want you to imagine that our brain is a huge, enormous, the size of the earth, filing cabinet, filing room. And every time something happens to us, and that's not me talking, that's neuroscience, every time something happens to us, a neural pathway fires and a memory gets loaded into the filing cabinet. And then when anything happens to us, or when we want to do anything, it takes a flicker of time before we even step on the road, open our mouth or whatever. Our brain, the thought comes, I want to do blah, and then our brain goes through the filing system at the speed that you cannot even begin to imagine, and finds something that has happened to us once upon a time, we don't know when, that reminds it vaguely of what it's about to embark upon. So let's say, for example, you're about to cross the road, and immediately you're standing there on the edge of the pavement, and the first thing you do is you look right and left. Now, that isn't you looking right and left, it is the child you once were, who from the very start of the fact they could walk and hold their parents' or caregiver's hand, got taught, look right or left. So it isn't you looking right and left, it's that part of you, okay? And imagine that the river, not the river, I'm thinking about river, I don't know why. The road is in fact a trail across the desert, I don't know. You still look right and left. You know, it's a bit like when you're driving and there's nobody whatsoever on the road, and you will still indicate when you're turning right or left, because that is what the driving instructor said whenever you did sit your driving test, and that is the way it is. Hello, Wendy. So that's how parts are created. Hello, Sigita. And so when we think of doing something, anything, this filing system kicks in and the information gets downloaded into our brain. And if our brain is perceiving we're just about to do something dangerous, that part of us that is kind of awakened, if you wish, says, stop right here, right now. I hope that makes sense. So when we are embarking upon anything, it could be absolutely anything, but particularly if we're trying to get a sense of what the road ahead might look like, we have parts of us that are actually against the plan. And they're going to do anything they can do to make us not do whatever it is that we need to do, or we want to do, because very often we want to do whatever it is. So if I take an example of, I'm going to do something really prosaic, but I had very, very bad experience going to the dentist ages ago. And I really wasn't bothered about going to the dentist before, but the guy kept pulling my teeth, which was not good. And not all of them, don't panic, I do exaggerate, I know that. And I thought, I am, you know, the next time I found a new dentist, she's lovely, my dentist, and I found a new one. And do you know what? Every time I made an appointment to go to the dentist, there was a voice in my head that went, no, you don't want to do that, you're not feeling very well. Or I would start developing a cold, or the symptoms of a cold, or something would happen. And I would say to myself, oh no, we better postpone it. And I wouldn't go. Until one day I sat myself down and had a word with that part of me. And that's what we're going to do today. So I had a word with that part of me that's saying it's not safe to go to the dentist, with very good reasons, because I've had not a very nice experience at the dentist. So what I'm inviting you today, and I did ask that in the group as well, is to think about something that you find yourself repeating a pattern. Like you decide to do something, and then you, at the last minute, you feel like you don't do it somehow because a part of you says it's not safe, or a part of you says, I can't be bothered. Procrastination is generally a part of us that is saying, I can't do it because you're not good enough, or whatever it is. And we're going to talk to them. So, if you're not driving, which I hope you're not, I'm inviting you to close your eyes a minute. If that feels safe, no obligation to close your eyes. And I want you to think about whatever it is you want to work on today as we tap along. And I am going to use that example of me and a part of me wanting to go to the dentist and saying to myself, well, what the hell's going on here? And that part of me saying, no, it's not safe. Okay? So have a little think, and when you've had that little think, I want you to give it a title, like I'm going to call it The Dentist. Imagine it, you know, like if it was a film title, The Dentist, and with blood drooping on the side. So The Dentist. So I want to give it a title, and then you tap on the side of the hand, and you say, even though I have great difficulties in whatever it is that you have the title. So in my case is, even though I have great difficulties with the dentist. Repeat. In between, you know, when I'm trying to be a bit quieter, give you some time. Even though there's a part of me that tells me it isn't safe to go. And even though I know that I want to go, that part of me is stopping me from going. And I accept this is where I am at right now. Or I love and accept myself. Depends whether you actually do love and accept yourself. You don't have to love yourself. It's not compulsory. It'd be nice, but accepting is fine. I accept myself. And I'm curious to find out more about that part of me that is saying no, it is not safe to go to the dentist. And replace the dentist by whatever it is. Okay? Now I'm tapping on the top of the head. I don't know why I'm starting there today, but there you are. Tapping on the top of the head, and you're thinking, it's not safe. And don't ask why, it doesn't matter, it's not safe. Take it as read that from that part of you's point of view, it has very good reasons to believe that it's not safe or whatever. Corner of the eye. And say, I hear that you have very good reasons to believe what you believe. And then beneath the eye, and I accept that this is the way you think about the world. And underneath the nose, and I know that you are only trying to help me. And on the chin, because from your point of view, collarbone, it is the safest thing to do. I understand what you're doing. And I accept you. And I don't like what you're doing very much. But I know you are trying to help me. And you don't know any better. You are doing the best you can. I understand that. And I accept that too. Okay, and stop tapping. Take a breath. So, close your eyes if you want to. I wonder, what does it feel like to have encountered that part of you? And have you noticed what we are not doing? What is it that we usually do? Fill in the blanks. What we usually do is we shout at that part of us. We shout at her or him. We try to shut it up. We get very angry with it because we think it's stopping us because it's a coward, or she is just stupid, or how can she not see that you have to go to the dentist, otherwise you get toothache, or again, whatever. But no, we're not doing that. Because do you know what happens when you start shouting at parts of you that are only trying to help? Yeah, they get louder and they get more upset. And then they shout back at you. And then you're not getting anywhere. It's a bit like if you have ever had a relationship with a child, it is rather pointless to shout at them because they get scared. And then they shout, and then they go into a meltdown. And it's absolutely hopeless. And it's a bit like that, particularly if you are dealing with a part of you that's quite young. Okay? But we're not looking into that because we're trying to work. If you want to know more about parts work, and if you want to go deep into the whys and how old they are and where it comes from, then you need to come and work with me one-to-one. But for now, because we are dealing with surface stuff in this group, we are just looking at that. How do you treat a part of you that really, really does not want you to do something, or indeed anything at all? Okay? So now, you know the gig. Second part of this process is we are going to ask the part of us who doesn't want us to go to the dentist or whatever to tell us a story. Okay? So tapping on Santa's hand. Again. And we're saying, even though I don't really want to know why you don't want me to go to the dentist or whatever, even though that really annoys me, and even though I wish you would go away. So you are expressing the reality of how you're feeling and put in the words that feel right for you. I am ready to listen to you, and I'm ready to understand your point of view. And I accept this is where we are at right now. Okay? And then we're starting, tapping in the corner of the eye. And we're saying, what is it? What is it that is upsetting you about me going to the dentist? And then see what the answer is. So in my case it's, well, they're just going to pull our teeth out. Okay? And then acknowledge the reality of it. And I understand that this is what you experienced a couple of years back. And I accept this is where you're at right now. And I accept this is your perspective of what the experience could be like. And thank you for the warning. And you really anchor that in underneath the eye. Thank you for the warning. Thank you. Thank you for the warning. And then close your eyes again. So what we have here is we have you saying, yeah, I see where you're coming from. Thank you for the warning. What you're not saying, what is it you're not saying? Have a think. What you're not saying is, and I'm going to listen to you and I'm going to agree with you. Neither are you saying, and I disagree with you and I'm going to ignore you. Yeah? Okay? So what are you saying? Do you think? You're saying, yeah, I can see that from your point of view. This is a bad idea. And then we're going to do the third round. Okay? And again, you're going to talk to that part of you with all the tolerance you can master. Okay? And all the kind of compassion you can master, because they are only trying to help you. However annoying they are only trying to help you. Okay? Back to the side of the hand. And say, even though I understand your point of view, and then add, what is your point of view? Not in that you're stupid and I hate you, more into look. Do you remember our dentist? She's got a fuchsia pink couch. It's true. My dentist has a fuchsia pink couch. It's kind of like what sold that to me. And then when I do that, suddenly that part of me that's really scared about the dentist smiles, seriously, because it's like, oh yeah, now we remember. We don't have that dentist anymore. We have the one with the pink couch. So think about that. So even though I can hear your point of view, see, as it happens, my experience right here, right now, is different. And I want to remind you of that. And I accept you. And I need you on board, because I'm curious to get over this and see whether we can go to the dentist together. Because really, it's only half an hour of our time. And we have spent rather a lot of our time in the last week arguing with each other as to whether we're going to go or not. It's only going to the dentist. It is not nuclear war, is it? So a bit of humour always helps. So tap on the side of your hand and tell that part of you whatever it is that you think they need to hear, with as much understanding as you can muster, and as much compassion, but also being quite firm, direct, in that, yes, you see their point of view, but from where you are, right here, right now, you think it's fine to go ahead with whatever it is. And you accept both points of view, but right now, you're kind of driving the car, okay? You know the story about Liz Gilbert? I digress, but Liz Gilbert, who is Elizabeth Gilbert, who wrote Eat, Pray, Love, she wrote a book, an amazing book about creativity called Big Magic. And in it, she says, anxiety is my best friend. There's always anxiety in my life. She's an anxious person. But a long time ago, I decided that anxiety would never drive my car, as in my life. And the anxiety would be very welcome to sit in the back of the car, but she would never drive the car. And, moreover, she would never, ever, ever choose the sort of music we're listening to. So that part of you is coming with you on this journey, wherever it is you're going, but it is not driving the car. 20 minutes ago, it was driving the car, but right now, it is no longer driving the car. And it probably feels rather relieved not to be driving the car, particularly if it's a younger part of you. You're not driving the car, sweetie. I'm driving the car. And I can see that it isn't easy for you, but I'm driving the car. And you're coming with me. And I'm not angry with you. I accept you, but I'm driving the car. Okay? How was that? I hope it was helpful. So this is the beginning of parts work. Okay? We'll do some more next week because I was doing some work on myself because, you know, if you do this sort of stuff, you have to do work on yourself too. And obviously, so life work. And I discovered that there's actually another part of me that I had no idea existed, really seriously. And I want to introduce you to that idea next week. Meanwhile, as I said, if anybody's watching this and they are really fascinated by parts work and they think that they want to explore their parts and how their mind works with their parts, there's altogether another story. And if you want to work with me one-to-one, please let me know. I will put the link to my free 20 minutes or half an hour session on Calendly. If you want to book yourself in, please do. And I hope you have a good week, and I shall talk to you soon. Bye.